How's it going, everybody? Sessiion here. Welcome to the 6.5 mid-chapter update for Dead by Daylight. This got updated as of this morning, and I just knew that I had to kind of get a quick look through just to see what changes that they made, because apparently it's quite a big patch of changes. So let's just get straight into it. So of course we know that the Moonlight Burrow event, which is the new Lunar Year event, will be coming up starting today, actually. Like literally it started like 5 minutes ago from the recording of this video. So this is going to be really exciting. I can't wait to get my hands on it and give it a try. Also tomorrow we get Tome 14 Betrayal, which will open up, which will definitely give us some new lore in relation to the Knight and Vittorio, which is the previous series of killers in terms of DLC that we've had come into the game with the previous chapter. So that's going to be really cool. And now we have archive challenges, where Dark Triumph Killer Challenge as an executioner, okay, so it's Pyramid Head. Survivors who die inside a cage of atonement now award progress. That's good. Terrified Killer Challenges as a trickster. Getting hit by Showstopper Blades no longer award progress. Okay. Sounds like some changes with how you can get the archive challenges for this. I think they make you want to kind of focus more on how to actually get it in terms of like the actual challenge as it's laid out versus like other ways to actually do it. Near miss for dodging basic attacks from the Oni and the Ghostface while crouched. Now where's progress? Okay. Engineers Guild. Progress is now cumulative, no longer resets when the co-op action is interrupted. Cool. All right. And now we got some quality of life changes, which I know is one of the larger changes that they were trying to work on for a really long time. So let's see. The Survivor HUD activity. Survivor HUD now features an indicator that appears whenever they or their teammates engage in an activity. Activities include repairing a generator, being chased with a killer, healing, recovering from dying state, cleansing, blessing, opening a gate, or interacting with the killer's power. Now I know that this is a really cool idea that I think they wanted to try to bring awareness for solo players like myself, especially as an example of this, where now at least I'll be able to understand what my team is doing just by simply looking at the HUD, because obviously there isn't any form of game chat. There's no way to communicate in game outside of just like a couple of gestures. So the HUD now lets you kind of inactively but also like frequently just understand what's going on from a team-based perspective. So this should essentially give a lot of communication about what people are doing during the game versus a killer. So this is a really, really great feature. I can't wait to get my hands on it and kind of check it out. So we'll see. Merciless Killer moving forward, getting 4 kills will earn the Killer Merciless Killer rating rather than the previous requirement of a double pip. Okay, so now you get Merciless if you kill everybody, which makes me feel like now you may, it may be harder to get Merciless if you don't per se get everybody, but double pipping everybody might be I guess like a guarantee, but I do wonder if this means that you'll get Merciless even if 2 people get away but everyone still is able to get pipped or not pipped, or I'm not too sure though, but we'll see. The queuing experience. Players are now able to browse the store. Oh, that's actually amazing. Okay. Browse the store, archives daily rituals while queuing for a match. This is a change that honestly I'm so surprised that it wasn't already like in the game. I just never really like thought about it, but I knew that it was always a kind of a pain. And literally like last time I tried playing this game, aka yesterday, I wanted to like input there's like 2 codes you can redeem in the store. I think one of them is like lucky, and you get like a couple of cool cosmetics, and I couldn't do that while queuing in, so I had to do this like much more into the like the stream, for example. So this is really cool that they actually now made this a functionality. If they are mid-purchase, when the lobby is ready, the game will wait for the conclusion of the transaction, though it will kick the player if the delay is too long. That's really cool. When queued, killers can browse their other killers and change their loadouts and customizations. This will not affect their currently queued character, who remains shown besides looking. Oh, that's so good though. See, because I feel like that was always something that I was never really too certain about, but I like now that you can because ever since they introduced like this whole loadout system, it's been phenomenal for everyone to kind of dabble around while kind of picking and choosing your perks and your items and your offerings and all that fun stuff. I wish that there was a way to lock it in if you're playing on the survivor side, but I mean, playing on the killer is definitely a good start. So this is really, really cool. I'm actually really happy that they made this a thing. So I'm really looking forward to just being able to know that that is a quality of life that exists now that is going to be like absolutely amazing to kind of bear witness to. So that's like friggin' awesome. Due to the potential disconnection during cinematics, They disable the viewing of cinematics when a party is queuing for a match. Okay, fine. Wiggling. Following a period in the beta, the updated wiggle system is now standard for all players. Rather than mashing left and right inputs to wiggle, it now follows a ping pong skill check system. Based on feedback we received from players, thank you very much, we made a few adjustments to the system. Controller input handling has been improved, which should allow killers to respond to wiggling more efficiently when carrying survivors. Okay, so they should have an easier time with it. Survivors no longer shorten carry time by hitting great skill checks. Instead, great skill checks will increase the resistance for the killer. Oh, interesting. Because it does go up faster if you use a great skill check with the wiggling, but now they made it so that the resistance is harder. I feel like that is, it's going to depend on how exactly does that like change the resistance, if you will, because I feel like that can be a good thing and a bad thing. I feel like personally I did prefer that you increase the wiggling or the escaping off of the shoulder more than you would just like you'd be able to increase the resistance. I just wonder how that might work directly when it comes to like the actual opportunity of being able to wiggle off the shoulder of the killer. In my mind, as like a guess, I would say that it'll probably slow down the killer's movement, and it might even kind of make them like walk a little bit backwards. I feel like in all it might be better for the survivors, but it does at least though allow the killer to have an easier time moving. But I mean, that looks like it's mostly for controller input, but I feel like for survivors though, hopefully it kind of increases it more towards like there's like a 50-50 chance, because I feel like, you know, if the killer is trying to go to a far hook, they should at least be more, it should be a more dangerous opportunity for the killer to take a survivor to a far hook versus a short one, and this wiggling should make that a lot more challenging, but still give it like a shot of it being a possibility. And the size of the great skill check zone has been slightly increased. We've also updated the wiggling sound effects for improved feedback. Okay, that's cool. So all in all, for quality of life, I'm really looking forward to seeing how the Survivor Activity HUD is. I definitely am really happy that the queuing experience is really cool, and I'm glad that they took out the mashing system for the wiggling and they implemented this. I mean, I've been using it since the beta, and I've never really found a reason to go back to the older variation of it. So this is a huge win, in my opinion, too. Then we got balance changes. So with the Knight, now that the Fortune Fog chapter has been released for several weeks, we've updated several aspects of the Knight's base kits. While using his power, the Knight is now forced out of guard summon mode after 10 seconds. Huh. I mean, I understand that, but I also am curious why. Well, I'm curious as to why the killer would ever stay in guard summon mode for like an extensive amount of time. There might be some kind of idea behind some kind of build or idea that killers have been kind of manifesting with the Knight using that specific aspect, but at least in all of my experiences of playing as Knight and playing against Knight, I'm never in the guard summon mode for as long as like I think even like 5 seconds. But if they are forcing it after a 10-second thing, I feel like that means that they've encountered some scenarios where that has, you know, really like put survivors in like a position where they were like unable to avoid the situation. So that's really cool. While chasing a patrol path, the Knight's orb shrinks with distance travel and disappears completely after 10 meters. Okay, so it kind of gives you an understanding of the trail that they'll be taking, but also the orb shrinking kind of tells you as well how much more like distance can be covered. So I feel like that's like not really like a, it doesn't feel like a nerf or a buff. It just feels like a quality of life, like knowledge. It's like a knowledge thing, if anything. When the Knight creates a patrol path longer than 10 meters, he'll gain. Oh wait. When the Knight creates a patrol path longer than 10 meters, he will gain the haste status effect. The effect's duration depends on the length of the path, beginning at 2 seconds and increasing to 10 seconds at a maximum distance of 32 meters. 10-second duration was 6 seconds on the PTB. You know what? Okay. I might be oblivious for this, and I should absolutely get yelled at for this in the future. I never thought about the idea that the killer even had a haste effect after letting a guard out. I don't even feel like I noticed having a haste effect when I played Knight and I put a guard out. Because in my mind, I only moved the guard around for like positioning. but I feel like I've never actually noticed that that happened. So I mean, someone's gonna have to let me know. I don't play Knight enough to actually know this, but if this has always been a thing, this actually explains a lot behind why the Knight always felt like a fast killer to like avoid when you're being chased, especially when there's a guard out. So that's actually pretty crazy that the killer has a haste effect in general. Um, Interesting. When the guard detects a survivor, if your patrol path is over 10 meters, the time it takes for the guard to reach that survivor has been decreased. Oh, they move faster if it's over 10 meters. This reduction depends on the length of the path, ranging from a default 10 to a maximum 25. If your path reaches 32 meters, basically the longer the patrol path, the faster the guard will move once he detects a survivor. Yeah. So I think so. See, this is what makes sense to me now because I think they're trying to solidify how the guard is supposed to be played with um with the Knight and like killer's power as a whole. Because I feel like people, I think a general consensus has been said where people don't play this killer correctly in terms of using the Knight. Because I think you're supposed to use the Knight pathing with the guards and cover it like beyond the 10 meters, but nobody has been doing that. People have been playing the game and playing the killer very differently from what this description is saying for the base kit for the killer. So I'm very intrigued to see now how much more different will the killer play, especially knowing now that this is a solidified, detail in the way that the killer is meant to be used in regards to power. And it also kind of scares me because I feel like, in a degree, this is actually going to be something that people are going to learn and they're going to really figure out how to capitalize on this like significantly. So we'll find out. And then using a guard to damage generator now grants a 5% instant losses instead of 2.5. So yeah, instead of being a normal kick, I guess it does a double kick, which is honestly not that big of a deal. Because I think they still have it like down pat that the guard doesn't apply the perks that the killer has onto generators. So like if you have a Call of Brine on a Knight, the guard doesn't apply Call of Brine to the generator. It just kicks it for 5%, which is honestly like not that big of a deal. I feel like that might be, it kind of gives you more reason to kind of use the guards for that reason in specificity, where you can kick a generator without like losing the chase of a survivor that you were having in front of you, but like passing by a generator. So that'd be kind of cool to see how that like comes into play. Healing POTUS is when survivors are within 24 meters of the assassin when he spawns. The locations will be revealed for 5 seconds. Oh, okay, so they buff the add-on instead of, okay. I mean, that's fine. I honestly don't see this one enough. People use like the durational one for the jailer, and I think they use the speed one for the like when they're patrolling. I think so. So that's the Knight. Honestly, I feel like it's more like a balance change. It's not necessarily like a buff or a nerf per se. I think that there is kind of a bit of it kind of like wobbles back and forth a bit, but there's definitely some buffs with both the the guard kick, the detection, and I think the patrol path overall. So I guess overall it is a buff with all of these changes, but it is a nerf that you're forced out of the mode for 10 seconds. But I feel like that nerf is not enough to like counterbalance the changes that they made for the padding. So I feel like overall he got buffed. So we'll see. Now Nurse. The Nurse holds an interesting place in the killer roster. Though her power can be challenging to master, she can be extremely deadly in practice hands, especially with certain perks that accentuate her mobility. While we don't want to completely overhaul her, we made some updates to the Nurse, including a pass of her add-ons. In addition, Nurse is officially the latest killer to receive her own theme in the menu, as well as a new tear radius and chase music. Fascinating. Okay, so that's going to be really cool. So base kit, any attack made after blinking is now a blink attack and not a basic attack. This will impact how the Nurse synergizes with certain perks, including those that trigger the exposed status effect. Right, so now she can't like use Devour, or I think Starstruck are like the big two that people were using a lot. I'm definitely guilty as charged for using Devour. That was like my go-to with Nurse for a while, but I feel like now that's not going to be something I can really like capitalize on, which is fine. I just understand that that's what it is. So we'll see. Okay, so add-on updates. Well, they changed, I think, like everything. Can attack voice charge reduces extra fatigue from chain blink by 65% with 100. Okay, so then there's that. Dark Cincture increases movement speed after a blink, but before befalling fatigue. Okay, by 30%. Heavy panting and duration of lunge by 30% after more than one blink. Okay. Attack respiration reduces base blink fatigue by 7%. It was 12. Okay. Blink attack. No, fragile weeds. Blink attacks inflict a mangle status effect. That's gonna be really rough, actually. Campbell's last breath. After reappearing for a fully charged blink, the nurse immediately blinks again at full charge in the direction she was currently facing. It only works if the nurse has a remaining blink charge. It was originally a half charge blink. So I think this is one of the larger ones that they changed. I think all in all, because like the thing that the nurse never had the ability to do was go back to her body from a blink. So now she has that ability. So I think, and if you kind of combine, I think there is a mention of it. There's two add-ons I think that you can combine where you can essentially cover a significant amount of ground from her original positioning. So like, let's say if I go north and there's nobody there, I can blink back in and blink south and then cover a lot of spacing. So I feel like we'll have to see how the add-ons come into play in combination when people like really get their hands on all these different add-ons. So we'll see. Bad Man's Last Breath, hitting her with a successful blink attack, glance undetectable for 25 seconds, up from 16, and it can only be triggered once every 45 seconds instead of, okay, so it was 60, it's now 45. So they buffed this, which is interesting. Kavanaugh's Last Breath, when succumbing to fatigue, any survivors within 8 meters of the nurse are affected with blindness for 60 seconds. That's kind of crazy. Okay. Jenner's Last Breath, once the nurse has affected all her blinks, she can immediately blink back to her original position by pressing the active ability button. That's what it is. Must be triggered before the nurse succumbs to fatigue. Oh, interesting. So you have to do it before you actually get tired from, which is honestly very fair for what it's worth, because also this isn't going to work at all, obviously, if you either start to go for the swing or if you get like stunned by a pallet. So that's fascinating. After returning to her original position, one blink charge is restored. Oh, and they added, okay, so they added a blink charge deliberately now. This is a change from the PTB where all the changes were restored. All of them were restored. Oh, okay, so instead of all the charges, it's just one. Okay, I don't know what that just did. It's okay. I'll figure it out. So it's interesting that they actually gave her back just one charge instead of a lot of charges. I think that might actually be more, that's definitely more fair. I feel like if she was able to blink, 4 times, or even like yeah, because you blink, you can kind of blink twice and then come back and then blink 2 more times. I feel like that would be so chaotic. So this is cool that she doesn't actually cover as much ground as I think we assumed that she could have. Torn Bookmark adds a blink charge and it increases the blink recharge time by 30% instead of 50. Okay, so then they balanced it. It gives a charge, but it also slows down the recovery of the charge. That's cool. Matchbox sets maximum blink charges to 1. Oh, and then her base movement speed goes up to 4 meters instead of 4.2. Oh, interesting. So I think this is actually going to be something that people really take advantage of to a strong degree. I feel like it's actually possible. Okay. We'll see. We've also just the following: improved feedback for the spasmodic breath add-on, and then uploaded blink recharge audio to get better indication of when a blink charge is full. Yeah, because I understand that was something that was really difficult for survivors to understand, is when the blink was like charged. I mean, I think that might be something that, because you can see like the orbs when she's charging in her hand, how many charges she has, but it's too small to look at from the survivor perspective. It's more so for the killer's eyes, but there is a way to see it, at least to a degree. But I don't think that applies to survivors. But it's cool at least that you know that it's full. Okay. Area Crow's map. Okay. It received an additional balance pass to make the map more fun to play for both survivor and killer. Okay. Before we even read this, I'm gonna guess and say that it was more fun for survivors and it was less fun for killer, because there is so much ground to cover. But it will also certainly depend on like how different does it play, because I'm hoping that it's not a nerf to survivor and it's a big, because anytime a map gets smaller, it's a buff for the killer guaranteed. There's no question about it. And there are already a lot of killers that can cover a lot of ground that are already thriving on this map, so I think it's just giving killers that don't have speed or mobility a chance to be able to be more efficient in this map. Okay. So the map length has been shortened. Okay. Generators are more evenly distributed. Okay. The main building has been moved towards the map's edge. Oh, how does that work? Because it's kind of like if you had like a rectangle, it kind of there's a lot of it's like kind of in the middle, but more towards the like southern edge of the map. But it's not directly like you know by the wall. So I wonder if they did that with this building. We'll see. The strength of certain main building loops have been decreased. Oh, this is not good. Okay. New tiles have been added. Okay. Dead zones have been reduced around the border. The exit gate no longer inadvertently spawns behind the main building. Okay. Certain rocks will no longer spawn close to the hooks, causing collision issues, and an alternate generator has been added to the main building. Oh, so it's not just the one in the downstairs section anymore? Okay, that's not bad actually. I feel like they added one that was upstairs, which is fair because there's hooks that are upstairs, but like going to the getting hooked in the upstairs section of the main building was always an issue no matter what happens because like there's no way to go up besides two stairwells. And like if a trapper for example had somebody on the top hook, then you had that was like a guaranteed kill for the killer, which is like really unfortunate, amongst other killers, but like that's just an example. Okay. Bug fixes. PlayStation Store banner. PlayStation players should not have trouble inviting or joining their friends. Oh, actually, I mean, I'm playing on PC, but I definitely encountered this with like friends. Okay. Players no longer will be unable to successfully purchase or excel. Okay, whatever. Okay, so these are still bug fixes. Proper sound effects will play when a match is found. There's a sound effect when the game plays in the matches. Okay, I don't know. I've never heard of a sound effect besides it just like cut out. So blood sound effect will no longer play when a hook server enters circle phase. Okay, locker exit sound effect will no longer provide quick and quiet. Oh, I feel like I've always figured this as a bug, but I never paid attention. I don't use quick and quiet usually, but I know people who do to combine it with like flashbang, for example. And I think I do periodically hear them like doing this, but it's not like they used it prior. Like I feel like that actually was a bug that I was aware of, but never actually like paid attention to. So that's interesting. Music no longer continues playing while the survivor is being sacrificed. Okay, that's nice actually. Raise the volume of the Legion's blood wiping sound effect. Okay. The Knight's Guards no longer get stuck in various places on Mount Ormond. The Knight's Guards are no longer incapable of traversing certain passages on Mount Ormond. The Knight's feet are officially animated in first-person perspective when attacking or looking down. Okay. Fixed an issue that caused the Knight and the Spirit to see potential energy voids. The effects on refined serum, the effects on the path creation. Oh, interesting. Okay. I mean, I've never had that issue, but like I didn't think that was a bug. Knight's power no longer becomes unusable when using the order system immediately after entering patrol mode. Knight will no longer be able to perform actions with unintended distances immediately after using Guardian Companion. Okay. Knight will no longer receive a permanent 5% haste upon greeting. Thank goodness. Okay, see, so I knew that there was something annoying. They got rid of this because that was the issue that I always ran into. Is that playing against a knight always seemed impossible to. I personally was never ever able to escape the knight because I knew they always had something that was weird like that. Okay, that's right. Cool. Fix an issue that caused the knight entering path of creation mode to trigger make your choice. Well, oh yeah, this I remember. This was like a really big issue on the internet. Everyone was so pissed from this. I understand that actually. Spirit's weapon retracting animation no longer speeds up. Spirit's hair is no longer missing from a spectator point of view during custom match. Oh lord, she like bald. Switching between Charlotte and Victor will no longer lead to an unaffected black screen. That's unfortunate. Fix an issue where Charlotte will be unable to move at switching control from Victor. Undetectable visual effects no longer missing when using silencing cloth hat on. Unstable risk can no longer become infected by survivor infected with plays about. Oh, really? That was a thing? Imagine throwing up on a freaking glyph that's in the air that you had to like like redeem for yourself, and it had nothing to do with that. Flashbangs no longer spin in a survivor's hand. Okay. When circle locating boon is snuffed, the survivors in that radius no longer fail their ongoing skill checks. Oh, that's actually really nice. Okay, that's cool. Survivors can no longer drop a flashbang grenade while getting healed. Oh, okay. I mean, I don't know. I just whatever. Firecrackers and flashbangs not trigger as intended when thrown against a wall. What does that mean? You can't throw them like against a what? I don't know what that means. I feel like you only throw them on the floor, but against a wall doesn't make sense to me. It's a bug. It's not like it's a like a quality change. Okay. Object of obsession that properly increases the chances of player becoming the obsession at the start of the match. I actually have bore witness to that. Because I played with object for a while and I never was the obsession. I played like 10 games with it. It was really weird. Um, Potential energy should no longer remain on the survivor after certain killers use their power. Okay. Killer perks. Fix an issue where Noed's death aura remains active if the first blessed by a survivor, then stuff like, wait, what? Fix an issue where Hex no one escapes death's aura remains active if first blessed by a survivor and then snuffed by a killer. Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, so if someone has Noed and then it gets blessed by a survivor, not cleansed, meaning that we put a boon on Noed, then the aura for Noed appears. Interesting. Okay. Hex Hunter's inconsistency between the sound effect and the UI. Okay. Fix an impassable passage between cedar walls on Preschool 4. You know, I actually know this. Okay. That's crazy actually. Survivors can no longer use momentum to vault onto a ledge of the Pale Rose's Ferry. Okay. A specific generator on guard in the gym map is no longer accessible from one side. Oh, thank goodness. I know exactly which one that they're talking about too. Placeholder sectors have been removed from the disturbed ward map. Okay. Small cosmetics such as Vile Charms now appear in the game consistently. Players can no longer allow you as an unintended character. Player can no longer use the force of for perks. Interesting. Bots no longer get stuck on thin air. Force quitting the game no longer causes a crash. Fortunate. Splash screen no longer causes a crash. Customizations could be sorted immediately if it's all party members. Survivor bots no longer attempt to blind the night's guards. That's really funny, actually. It'd be cool if it was like a real effect, but like it's not intentional, so I get it. A party attendant fix if cause an issue with lag spikes for players with both the mouse and controller connected. Interesting. I had that issue actually. Resolved an issue in the Shrine of Secrets where a perk would display as available even after purchasing it. Menu no longer accessible when interacting with the privacy pop-up. The alert or reward pop-up no longer blocks inputs in the menu. Okay. Players should not gain proper powers. Okay. The responsiveness for yeah, the freaking the delay for that was always really weird for me. I usually because like the second I get hooked, the wiggle thing should just disappear because I can't, I get it. Survivor hair is no longer wonky during hook death animation. Entity spikes at the gate should not be as intended. Cool. Fix an issue causing to dissolve the excess. Okay. Now bug fixes for the PTB. Cannibal's perk has been corrected. Artist's legs now move correctly while rotating in place. Grabbing a female Vault survivor as a spirit no longer causes clipping issues. As the Legion, Julian and Susie's tally screen animation has been corrected. Visual progression affecting tomes has been corrected. Pop-ups no longer overlap open quickly when opened. Okay. Untable vignette for this thing. Okay. These are all still bug fixes? Okay. Boss no longer gets stuck on a pallet. Okay. I mean, this is all bug stuff still, so. Oh, I see. Terminates notice with the cooldown for survivors after opening the exit gate. Okay. Special type ones no longer inadvertently trigger food Gra. Whispers now works as intended. Interesting. Killers no longer bypass the decisive check. Stun if the survivors bypass skill check. Never to high numbers or arsenals out of the range upon activation. The effects not properly centered on the killer instead of the kicked generator. Okay. Wiretap now reveals the auras of the killer while they're blinded by residual manifests. Oh, interesting. Okay. Situational awareness no longer reveals the player's aura against lethal pursuer. Okay. Adrenaline no longer triggers every time a survivor is unhooked after all generators have been repaired. Oh, they got rid of that. That's going to be bad, dude. Because adrenaline was so good for that alone. Because you get off the hook and you're fully healed. Like there's no reason for them to heal you after the unhook. So now adrenaline doesn't actually work anymore that way. That's not good. Renewal no longer keeps charging when survivors change states. Deep boot vignette no longer remains visible at the time screen when survivor escapes while in deep boot state. Survivors now gain haste when grabbing the knight's banner as intended. Okay. Survivors are now longer immune to the Deathlinger's projectile during a fast halt window. Okay. I feel like that means like no longer immune, but I don't know. Fix an issue that causes survivors perk smash. It may apply a delayed movement speed bonus for the survivor when the nervous system when charging its power. The item of the obsession achievement can be unlocked without issue and agonizing escape. Players can no longer use an Xbox to play with 2 copies of the same add-on. That was a thing? Okay. I don't know. Entering the archives during an event will no longer cost soft locking. In the server boss tutorial, could no longer be unable to pick up without survivor. Wiggle UI no longer appearing correctly in the server tutorial. I don't know. Let's chat. Okay. And then the known issues that general progress not shown on the survivor HUD activity icon. I mean, okay. I mean, they should have made sure that that was a thing, but okay. Listen, this is going to be very interesting to see. There's honestly so many changes. I mean, obviously the biggest changes we have of the patch in full is that they changed artist's map. They changed a lot of nurse. They added some changes to the knight. There is now you know, a new HUD. I feel like this HUD is honestly the biggest change for survivors. And of course for the killer side, we have, you know, changes made to the nurse and the knight. It seems like every other killer is unaffected besides some like bug fixes. So we'll find out. Let me know what you think, and you know, have fun with the event. New Year is going to be here, so take care.